going on, Breaking Brown family? I swear, every time I come into YouTube, and a Negro ain't complaining, but good God, every time I come in, the screen, baby Jesus, the screen, the user terminal that I look at to try to figure out what's going on, every time I come in here, they done changed it. I can't live like this. I don't know where to find nothing. I don't know where to find the chat. I don't know where to find the people. I don't know where to find who's on so I can get started. I don't know what everybody's doing. Good God Almighty. Hey, Breaking Brown family, what is up? Please get your libations, and if possible, buy me one. But family, we got a lot to talk about. Before we get to all that, please, let's do a little bit of housekeeping, family. If you can donate, please go to donatebrown.com or patreon.com/ycarnell. If you cannot do that, we understand. We are AmericanDOS. I would appreciate it if you could hit that like button for me. Hit that like button. I can't even find the like button from where I am. I don't know what is going on. Oh, YouTube. Gosh. But hit that like button for me. Please share it. Hit that bell if you haven't hit that bell already, so you know when the Breaking Brown family is on. So please hit the bell for me if you can do that. Also go to subscribe-to-brown.com just to add your name to my mailing list in case one day we wake up and the whole channel gone or something strange like that is going on. No idea why anybody would do anything like that. But let's please do that, family. I appreciate everybody who is here, everybody who is in the chat, everybody who is in the conversation. I appreciate you all being here. We have something to talk about. But even before we talk about what we're going to talk about, the 21st of March, everyone, let's not forget, the 21st of March, we will be reading American Slavery, American Freedom, Edmund S. Morgan. And that will be our book club. That will be our book club meeting that we're going to have a conversation about. We're going to have that conversation. So please, if you have not picked up the book or gotten copies from the book from somebody who got the book or gone to the library to get the book, please take care of that so we can have the conversation. We had a really good conversation last time about the Denmark Vesey book. So I would appreciate it if we could have a good conversation about this book as well, because it talks about how like American freedom is kind of built on American slavery. It's something that we've kind of talked about, but like we try to do here, we try to undergird what we talk about. We don't try to just talk. I want to undergird what we talk about with actual data and actual information. That's what I want to do if I can do it. You know, let's make sure we understand that in 1860, slaves as an asset were worth more than all of America's manufacturing, all of America's railroads, all of the productive capacity of the United States put together. This is from Yale historian David W. Blight. You know, well, a slave with like 3 years of field training was worth the same as a house. And we're gonna, that's part of this conversation that we're having right here today. So like I said, please, if you haven't picked up the book or have gotten access to the book by other means, please do so, please do so, please do so, please do so. Now, as we start to have this conversation, let me tell you, fam, let me tell you something. Even if you are someone that I do respect or that I have respected, we can have disagreements. So the theme for tonight is based around narratives, and it's based around connections, and it's based around meaning. So when you want to think of the theme for tonight, we got to talk about narratives, and we got to talk about narratives, and we got to talk about meaning. So let's have that conversation, because that conversation is important. Thank you, Tamika Hogg Andrews. I appreciate it. That narrative is important in terms of what we have to do and where we have to go and how people are framing immigration. For those of you who did not see, you know, Donald Trump today walked out of a meeting with Pelosi and Schumer. I guess that's the name that they've been given, like Nancy and Chuck, right? So he walked out of that meeting and he said that they basically said, you're not going to give me, if I open the government up, are you going to give me what I want? And they basically said, no, you're not going to get a wall. And he said, well, I ain't opening the government back up. And so we'll just be back to where we were, because I'm not doing that. Right. So that's where we are in terms of this conversation, in terms of the conversation that we're having right now. That's where we are. That's what Trump did. And it is an ongoing conversation. CNN was talking about it. Everybody talking about it today. What's happening, what's going on, and all of this different stuff. Everybody's having this conversation about, well, what is we going to do? What's going on with the government? But there's also, in addition, like you have to look at like the sub conversations and what is being done to kind of push this narrative through that like a wall or now we're talking about a structure, and Trump said it ain't got to be concrete, it can be steel, and all this stuff that we're talking about. One of the things that you find is that the question that really needs to be answered is how is this narrative being pushed? How are we understanding this narrative around immigration? What is going on in terms of this narrative that we're hearing? And how are other AmericanDOS people advocating or navigating themselves within this conversation? It's a very interesting thing. Like, how are we navigating? So when I came across this tweet, and this is the tweet that I started with, when I said there are people who I have respect for, who say things and have the worst takes. And I put this up on Twitter. If you follow me at Twitter at Breaking Brown, you see that I said this. Some of these people have the worst, like people I respect, have the worst takes on this immigration issue. And I'm going to break down why these takes are the worst takes, and what it says about us, and what it says about who we are, and what it says about us as a group, as a community, and how we have to have a way forward, and what is being stolen from us within this immigration conversation. Some of what I've said, some of you have heard before, but we're going to add to that. We're going to build on that, because we're at Politics 102 today. We're not at Politics 101, right? So we're building up another level. So let's go for it. I saw this earlier. Professor Eddie S. Glaude. Building the wall is like the building Confederate statues in the 1890s and 1950s. It would be a monument to an ideology. It has nothing to do with border security. Okay? It's about ideology. It has nothing to do with border security. And when I saw this, I said, oh my God, this is one of the worst takes that I have seen about this regarding, listen, I have respect for Eddie S. Glaude. I do. We were on a panel together discussing the critiquing Obama, and we had the same idea and criticisms of Obama. So I'm not saying that I don't have any respect for the man. What I am saying is this. I'm trying to be as clear as I can. Because this kind of conversation does not happen in a bubble. So I appreciated what he did beforehand, but we have to deal with today, just like with Michelle Alexander. I appreciated where she was on Hillary Clinton, but today you are diminishing my citizenship by basically trying to make me the same as immigrants and saying we don't deserve citizenship. So in the same way, what I have in terms of Glaude is this: you are diminishing my, I can't even say as AmericanDOS, I can't even say you are diminishing my citizenship. You are diminishing my attempt to become a citizen, which is what we've been trying to do for 400 years, and we still haven't gotten there. We're still a bottom caste, which means we're not full citizens. And you are diminishing that by tying an illegal immigrant or an undocumented immigrant's attempt to cross the border and become American to the same thing as this 400-year struggle. And so the wall is a Confederate statue, and you're making those two things synonymous when they're not synonymous. So what you're basically doing is saying that Warren Crow is Jim Crow. And Warren Crow is just something somebody made up because people are too lazy to make up their own narratives, to build their own movements. So I know what I'll do. I'll just hitch my wagon to the AmericanDOS movement. Everybody's used to that. I'm going to just wear this on. So what you have is that people who have just decided to try on our outfit and see if it fit. And it ain't never fit. Because it's not the same story. It's not the same history. No other group has been systematically and sustainably oppressed for such a long period of time over generations as us. We did not just come from slaves. We are remade slaves every generation. And no other group can claim that but us. So please do not hitch your movement to our wagon. You have to build your own wagon. You cannot use our wagon. We are still using our own wagon because we have still not become full citizens in this country. You cannot do that. Our story is not your story. And so I am disappointed in Glad trying to attach the Confederacy that fought to keep us in chattel chains, that built the guts of this country. Not trying to get in to eat the fruits of the country, that built the guts of this country and the bones of this country. You are comparing that to somebody who wants to enter the country illegally. Now, what I will say is, and what I have already said, is that nothing happens. There is no bubble in which all of this happens. There was another tweet, and this was historian John Meacham, who kind of said the same thing, almost as if some of this is coordinated, right? America should build a wall of steel, a wall as high as heaven, against the flow of immigrants. Georgia Governor Clifford Walker at a 1924 convention of the Ku Klux Klan. Then a powerful force at a time of strain for the white working class. So, like, anytime somebody calls for a wall now, what you're basically telling me, calling for a wall is white supremacy. But it goes further than that. What you're telling me is that not only is calling for a wall, having borders at all is white supremacy. That's what you're telling me. Just like these other groups are telling me that you can't create your own story and your own narrative. I don't know how you can't, because Pixar does it all the time. They create all kind of little stories and movies with a whole new narrative. Build your own. They got rules and stuff too to it. You go figure it out. But what he's saying is the same thing. To have borders. See, people don't understand what that is. When you say to have borders is wrong, and it's just an arbitrary line, what you're really telling me is that I can't have a country anymore. That there is no country to be had. This is not a country. And you have people on the left, and this is why I sort of distance myself from the left, because they're not serious. The people who are saying we cannot have borders, these are not serious people. If you're saying that we are a borderless country, then you are a joke. And it is offensive. Worse than being a joke, it is offensive to me. Because let me tell you what we have done throughout the history of this country. We have fought to make ourselves American. We built this country and then we fought. The whole thing in World War II. Go back and look in World War II and how the advocacy was like, if we fight in these wars, we will eventually be American. We didn't fight in these, black men didn't fight in these wars to actually to become part of a global system. It was to be American and access what it means to be American. That's what it was for. That's what it was for, especially when you consider how we've been otherized in this country and made into a bottom caste. We can't do like Latinos do. After a generation or two, you hop from brown to white. So you was all about this, and then you can hop. The Irish did it too. You hop from Irish to white. Everybody can hop. We haven't hopped anywhere. We can't hop nowhere. And we're still trying to access what it means to be American. We're still trying to access what it means to be American. And you're telling me that America ain't a country no more. That's what you're doing. You know, the Jim Crow's kind of popularity as a fictional character died out. But in the late 19th century, the phrase found new life as a blanket term for a wave of anti-black laws laid down after Reconstruction. Some of the most common laws included restrictions on voting rights. Many southern states required literacy tests or limited suffrage to those whose grandfathers had also had the right to vote. Bans on interracial relationship and clauses that allow businesses to separate their black and white clientele. That's what happened. Now, see, what you have to understand is that you're comparing us, a group who built this country, who built everything here, to a group who wants to come here and built nothing here. That's what you're comparing this to. That's what that shows you. So you should be offended by anybody saying anything about one crow as a group. You should be offended by anybody talking about one crow and saying, well, we just alike because we all brown. You have to, in case you have forgotten, in case you missed it, whatever the case may be. But you know, this is our history in this country. There is no other group that has this history. We have a third world country at our border that has not had this history. And you have people telling us that we should just allow this kind of open borders, which means that you just get free flow from whatever countries, free movement of people. But it's not just free movement of people. Let's not talk about like that. We know who's coming where. We know Mexico, Honduras, all these places are coming in here. We know where the flow is from, and we know what that means in terms of workers. Now we have to take it even further than we have taken it. We have to take it further than we have taken it because people are playing games. People are playing a lot of games. What happened to us, if you haven't seen Antonio Moore's interview with Rothstein, go look at it because he describes us as a contagion. I'm talking about AmericanDOS. We used to be the thing that made the wealth. What we were worth was a house. And when I talk about this book that we're going to have the book club meeting on, one of the things that you see early on in the book is that America needed to be America. America needed to be a country. America needed to be a country that had actual money and could be a force on the global stage. And in Virginia, which was very important that the book talks about, they did that through tobacco, through selling tobacco, and that's the money through which a lot of that money came in. We did it through cotton and other stuff. We all know that, but that was tobacco. So you use that money to build this country. And now you want to tell me, after you use the free labor of my people to build this country, you want to tell me that we're not a country. You want to tell me that I can't use my lineage and use my lineage to claim a stake in this country. Right? I cannot use my lineage to claim a stake in this country. That's what you're telling me. But let's go all the way back through it though. Let's go all the way back through it. I can't use my lineage, but everybody else can. I want y'all to really think about what that says. I cannot use my own lineage in this country. I cannot use my own lineage in this country, but everybody else has benefited from my lineage. So wait a minute. What AmericanDOS people did was build this country with free labor. Never got nothing for it. Still a bottom caste, still a contagion in this country. We used to be worth something, but then it got to the point to where we didn't build wealth anymore because we weren't chattel slaves, so we didn't build wealth anymore. But when we got in your communities, we brought down the value of your home. We brought down the value of your community. So we went from building wealth to being something that destroyed wealth. That's what it meant to be a caste system. Now, you little white leftists who are over here talking about how we got to have open borders, you have benefited from your lineage, but you're telling me I can't benefit from mine. Well, how do I benefit from my lineage, Yvette? You can't be walking around talking about you went to Yale and your daddy this and your mama this, and so that's your lineage that you eat from. You eat off your lineage. You are not competing with the immigrants who come here. But, and even if you tell me, well, Yvette, I'm a poor person. I don't benefit from my lineage. Yes, you do. Whiteness is benefiting from lineage. You benefit from your whiteness. That is your lineage. You benefit from what you get to identify as. What your people are. Who are your people? You get to do that. We don't. You know, and we talk about, well, we don't. How does open borders benefit us? Mexicans, when they come here, they get to flow back. They get to send this dollar home up against the peso and use that dollar that's stronger over there than it is over here. We don't have any homeland to go back to. We can't go back over here and use our dollar up against the DOS dollar somewhere else and send money back. We don't get to do that. So what I'm trying to get somebody to help me to understand is what is the benefit for us in this in this conversation that we're having. And people say, well, Yvette, what is America? Why are you so American? Listen, this flag has meant a lot of stuff to a lot of people. Because citizenship has meant a lot of stuff to a lot of people. That's what it is. This is not a game. This is not a game. See, what happens is, what has happened is everybody has benefited from citizenship and been eating all the cake and eating all the fruits of citizenship. Then they want to tell us, well, citizenship don't exist. Well, there's no such thing as citizenship. Wait a minute. After you ate all the food, you want to tell me, and wait a minute, not just ate all the food. After our slavery built the food that you ate, you want to tell us that there's no such thing anymore. Now that we say, woo, we finally close to becoming citizens. Maybe we're going to eat soon. Well, no, that don't exist no more. We don't take that. We don't take the dollar no more. We don't do that no more. Wait a minute. I just got here. We were slaves and we fought all this time, and now it's time to be citizens. Oh, I'm so happy. Oh, no. We all global citizens now. We don't do that. We don't do that no more. What you talking about? We don't do that no more. That whole country thing, no. We free flow of people. Free flow. And I'm going to bring this up because I want everybody, I want everybody to pay close attention to something. And there was an article, I brought this article up before, but I'm going to bring it up again because I think it's a necessary contrast. I think it's a very necessary contrast. One of the things that we have to show is that, like, people think, well, all brown people are on board. No, there is no solidarity like that. Far more Latinos vote Republican than the other way around. So there is no solidarity in the way that you're thinking. It doesn't exist. And this is what our lives look like. The American dream isn't for black millennials. The American dream isn't for black millennials. Now, ain't that something? Now, but you're telling me that the American dream is for somebody. It's just not for me. The American dream is for somebody. It's just not for me, right? It's for people who believe if you talk to leftists, they'll say, well, Yvette, you just don't. I say, well, no, there was a whole nother. This has not always been the way. They'll be like, well, Yvette, you just don't understand the socialist leftist libertarian point of view. You're just not up on your leftist history. Oh, so many knuckleheads. You're not just up on I'm up on my lineage though. And I understand what open borders means to me, though. I understand what the fight was always supposed to be for me and my people, though. And so let me find this for you, because I want to bring up, I brought this up before, but this article, there's so much wrong with this article. But I just want to bring it up kind of point by point just to show you, like, this dribble that's being passed off as, like, actual thought and intellectualism, and I just want to bring it home. Like, there is no left case for nationalism. You shouldn't be a country. These are all arbitrary walls. So let's just go to one of the first things that they say. And we're just going to pick apart 3 points. We can pick apart the whole thing, but we only got, like, I only want to talk for like 45, 50 minutes. So let's just pick apart the first part and go from there. The point is that without unjust forms of inequality between states and citizens, no exploitable foreign class of laborers would exist for big business to take advantage of. Let me just repeat that one time for me, one time for the people in the back. Let's please repeat that. The point is that without unjust forms of inequality between states and citizens, no exploitable foreign class of laborers would exist for big business to take advantage of. Did you hear that? No, did you hear that? Like, did you? I'm really looking at, I'm really trying to understand if people understand what, I'm looking at the chat through my phone right now. And I'm trying to understand if people understand what that means. Are you telling me there's no exploitable labor without foreign people? Because American DOS people will tell you that we've been here for 400 years and we've been an exploitable class within a country. So that's garbage. And let me tell you something else, my leftist friends. You haven't worked it out. You want to tell me, well, we have to own the means of production. Well, put together a movement and make that happen. And then we can come back and have a conversation, because it hasn't happened. We as American DOS have been and are an exploitable class within this country. So this whole idea that you're only exploitable because you are a foreign-born labor and exploitable because of where you come from, that's the only characteristic that makes you an exploitable class of people, is garbage. And if you want to prove me, if you want to prove something to me, if you want to prove me that you're on the right side of this thing, then you got to do what's necessary right here first. Well, what do you mean, Yvette, what's necessary right here? What do you mean? What do they have to do right here? You gotta do reparations right here. I'm not talking about something else or something that should confuse you. Cause look, this is what the little stupid Nation article said. And I'm not trying to be mean but these articles be real snarky. So you can't get mad at me of being snarky, because y'all throw a lot of shade in these little leftist articles. A lot of little nasty shade. So I'm not apologetic for anything. So here's another quote, and we're just gonna come back to it. From that same article, they're both right that governments should do far more to help workers and poor people, but to do so requires a global framework with new forms of redistribution across borders, not just within. Read that for me, people. New distribution. New distribution. Well, first of all, if I look at, before we get to the distribution part, if I look at Nigeria and I look at ways to gain citizenship in Nigeria, I see by birth, registration, naturalization. By birth, namely every person born in Nigeria after the date of independence, either of whose parents or any of whose grandparents belong to a community indigenous to Nigeria. The country is using lineage to define who gets to be there, and nobody is upset. But when I try to use lineage, I'm xenophobic. Please understand what that means. And I get that even from Nigerians. Hello. Now, the second part, provided that a person shall not become a citizen of Nigeria by virtue of this section if neither of his parents nor any of his grandparents was born in Nigeria. Every person born outside of Nigeria, either whose parents is a citizen of Nigeria, in this section, the date of independence means the 1st of August, October 1960. Understand that this is an underdeveloped country telling me that I can't be a citizen there. But everybody want to come here and talk about open borders in the richest country in the world that we built and we still don't have access to. Okay, let's go back to our original point, though, because we're going to keep it moving. That's what we do. Let's go back. Oh, is this the right quote? Yeah, redistribution. Well, we have to have redistribution across borders, not just within them. We haven't even had redistribution here. You haven't even redistributed wealth to the bottom class, the people who built this country. But you want us to be a part of redistributing to everybody else. We haven't even gotten our due in this country. But you're going to talk about, wait a minute. Hey, white America, we gave you your life. We gave this country life. And you ate it up, and now you want to give it away to somebody else. How does that work? I can't have a country. But we have third world countries who have very specific lineage-based values and definitions of how to become a citizen, criteria, so they can have it in an underdeveloped country. But I'm in a first world country, the richest country in the world that we built, and I'm xenophobic for saying that we should have lineage based. We could, like, listen, you could even come to me and say, Yvette, you got to go back. There are certain benefits for people who can go back 4 generations in terms of their parents. Or who can go back 3 generations. You can, one parent, if at least one parent goes back 4 generations, we could have a conversation on that. We could have a whole conversation on that. But for you to be like anybody who gets to cross the border is automatically the same as me, giving my people's contribution. And you expect for me not to see that as highly offensive. Highly offensive to me and everything I represent. And I should be offended. You have offended me highly. And I have every right to be offended. We can't have no borders. Like, what are you talking about? We can't have borders. Well, no, it's xenophobic. It's hatred of brown people to have borders. I wouldn't care if a little white country you call it, like, what's the little European bloc countries, Slovenia and all of them. I wouldn't care if one of them was at the border. It don't matter to me. I don't care what your color is. I don't care what your hue is. Because the second part about it is this. It's not just that. It's not just that these groups are foreign born from countries, and people say, well, if you make them citizens, because your argument, Yvette, is that they're not citizens. So if you make them citizens just like us, they have the same rights, and then you don't have that argument anymore. Hold up. 1 second, please. There's another part to the argument. The other part to the argument is when you talk about Honduras and places where people come from abject poverty and gang violence, they are in a survival mechanism. These are survival people. They are in a survival mode. What that means is that they can compete because they compete. They don't see people die on the street, get shot down all the time. Worse than Chicago and stuff. All kinds of violence. They don't see all kinds of stuff. They in survival mode all the time. They don't care about you, what you doing. Only thing they care about is doing what's good for them and sending money home because of what their environment has created within them. I can't compete with that person in the workforce, and I shouldn't have to, given that my people built the country. I shouldn't have to compete with all these people. Because let me tell you something. If I got to compete with poor Hondurans and Guatemalans and Mexicans and everybody else, then I'm not an American anymore. At the time in which an American has to compete with all these third world people, we are no longer American. We're an amalgamation of a third world country, and that's not what I want America to be, especially since I haven't had my bite at the apple yet. Now you make me whole. And when you make me whole, at least we can have a conversation. At least we can have a conversation. These people get to be Nigerian and Mexican or whatever and go back and forth and have dual citizenship and all this. I can't do nothing. But you want to have this flow where these barriers are just, they're not real barriers. They're just false barriers and false walls. And Yvette, you of all people should understand that. Me of all people, what does that mean? What are you trying to say? What does it mean, me of all people? What should I understand based on that? I've never immigrated anywhere. What should I understand? Melanin solidarity? No, I'm not. No, I don't think so. I'm not with that. I'm not okay with that. And see, here's something else you have to understand. People say, well, there should be movement. We should allow movement across borders. First of all, nobody has yet to explain to me, in a country with dwindling jobs, where we have a higher than usual unemployment rate, especially amongst AmericanDOS people, you have not explained to me why we need more workers to come from anywhere. You have yet to explain that to me. And even the stuff that requires skill, you have yet to explain to me why you cannot train people to that skill. You have not adequately explained that, and that's why people on the left who are advocating that, you are unserious. You are unserious in your critiques. And so please stop inboxing me and demanding that I take you seriously. I don't demand anything. Your scholarship, my dear, has let me know that you are not serious enough to be taken seriously. Go back to the drawing board and come back. You had the story a while ago. My great grandfather, my grandfather, Nigerian slave trader. So wait a minute, you might have sold me here, but I don't get to go in your country and have duality. But you get to come here, and we should all accept open borders and accept America as a transient country. Based on what logic? Who benefits from that? Who benefits from that scenario? I don't. The people who I represent on this show, American DOS people, do not. So what will be the point of such an arrangement, please? And when you talk about movement across borders, even if, like I said, nobody has yet to explain to me like why we need more workers. But even if we did, why can't we do why can't we have open borders in the sense of you can, if we decide that we need you here for some time, you can have a work visa, but you got to go home. You can't become a citizen. Because you can come here, but citizenship in America is supposed to have a unique benefit. So why can't we say, like, if we decide that we have trained as many American DOS people and poor white people in this country as we can who want to work in this industry, and we still need some extra. But you can come in, but you can't be a citizen. You get a work visa. That's an open flow, but you don't get the benefits of citizenship. Because you cheapen citizenship when everybody can just walk across the border and get it. Do we forget that a country is supposed to be bound? Like citizenship is supposed to have some meaning culturally and what you contributed and your lineage. Do we forget that? Is that all the way out the window because some leftists want to talk about, what they want to talk about? Oh, you don't know the socialist libertarian leftism. If you don't take that little hat off and leave me alone. Like, what are you talking about? But that's supposed to be okay. I'm supposed to accept that and be like, yeah, you got a point. Nigeria got all that oil money. Ain't nobody paid us nothing in reparations. All them billions or whatever. We ain't got nothing from y'all either. Scholarships, nothing. Not a thing. And I don't think we understand. See, when we talk about this, I don't think we really understand what people are saying to us. I don't think we understand what people are. When we go back to this article, you even see, like she says, the problem has never been globalization in and of itself, but the globalization we have had puts the well-being of capital and capitalists over the ordinary men, women, and children. No, that's not what it did. It put everybody else over Americans. Being a citizen of this country is supposed to have meaning. And we're a fairly young country, and we're supposed to be able to develop that over time. And we haven't, and we should. And American DOS people have not even been included in it. We haven't even been in, I don't think see, the thing is, I've said this before, but I'm just going to say it one more time. Because we don't really have access to what wealth really looks like. We think like, we'll run up against white people and they'll say, well, I enjoy fried bologna too. And we'll think, yeah, we all the same. We like they're like fried bologna, and the black people like fried bologna. And like, no, like that's what we had. That's some stuff that we had to eat because like the American DOS have had to eat sometimes because we didn't have nothing. They just eating that stuff because they like it. Or like it's cheaper than other stuff and somebody's saving for college. Remember, poor white people have $10,000 in worth and we're negative. And then remember, all of us, like, we're relatively flat. We don't have a class. Whereas they have an actual class system. Like, you ate all the fruit. All your people ate the fruit of citizenship. The fruit is the fruit of citizenship. And now you want to tell me that there's no more citizenship. It's like understand, like, that's what it is. And understand when you see, like, Africans, when we talked about Nigeria and all that stuff, coming over here and they didn't pay us anything, but they get access, right? That's like reverse reparations. That's reverse reparations. What are you doing? What is this? Who told you that this was allowed? How have we let this go this far? And I'm as guilty as everybody. Because the propaganda is so thick. But we have to come outside of that in terms of understanding who we are and what we have to do. What people are telling us is that our citizenship doesn't matter, that their lineage does matter because they benefited from it, and now our lineage doesn't matter at all. But my lineage built your lineage. So what you have was built on what my ancestors did, but now my lineage don't matter no more. Only your lineage matter when you had time to eat. Now you want to open up the door and give away something that was given to you. We gave you, our lineage gave you your lineage, which gave you your wealth and your citizenship and everything that you have, and you want to give it away, give it back to somebody else who just crossed the border, and you don't want to give it to me, and we've been here 400 years, and you wonder why I'm mad. Man, you live off that. You live off that lineage. You live off of that. I don't think we understand what America is. Everybody benefited off of us. And then made us into a contagion. Like everybody did. Everybody benefited off of who we were and what we did and what our contribution was. Right? And now we want to say that we ain't a country no more. We're not a country no more. We don't know what nobody's saying. We still fighting for citizenship and you giving it away. What sense does that make? Bam, what is that? People talking about they want to fix redistribution globally. But you haven't fixed it in your own country. These aren't serious people. Understand that when you have somebody saying they want to fix redistribution globally, but they haven't fixed it in their own country, they're not serious about what they say they're talking about. That's just what it is. I'm not trying to make it into nothing. What a thing is what a thing is. I'm not trying to create nothing. I gotta be the same. So wait a minute. Whoa, hold on. So I gotta be the same as like every group that comes in here. Like we all the same. We all people. But your white parents didn't have to do that. They got to be very different than me. They got to be very different than the other immigrants in this country. They got to be very different than everybody and get different access. But for me, we all got to be the same. But now we all the same. And I still have, my group, AmericanDOS, we still haven't gotten out. AmericanDOS, American Descendants of Slaves, people who keep putting in the comments, I don't know what that means. Like, we still haven't gotten ours, but we have this whole thing set up where everybody else is supposed to get theirs. By what right? I think that should be the theme in terms of AmericanDOS going forward. By what right? By what right are you doing everything that you're doing? By what right are you stealing my lineage? You already stole it, you used it, and you're giving away. By what right do you get to give away something that AmericanDOS have never ever truly owned? By what right? We're being denied the American dream while you give it away. When you look at it, let me just read something to you. This is what economist Thomas Piketty, the author of Capital in the 21st Century, observed that about the level of inequality in the United States. For those who work for a living, it is probably higher than in any society in terms of inequality. At any time in the past, anywhere in the world. In effect, a median U.S.-born black family in Los Angeles has just 1% of the wealth holdings of the city's median white family. Nigerian middle family, that's a U.S.-born black family. In effect, a median U.S.-born black family in Los Angeles has just 1% of the, and this is a different quote, has just 1% of the wealth holdings of the city's median white family. Nigerian family is worth $100K, while native-born black is $200 liquid in LA. Like, understand what that means. We never became citizens. And now people are giving away citizenship. So why don't you just tell me the truth? Just tell me the truth that my citizenship doesn't matter unless you can use it to give away citizenship to other people. The only way my citizenship matters to you is that you can give it away to other people and say, just call it one crow. Like Jim Crow. It worked for the Negroes. One crow. Whatever. Throw it out there, see if it jumped. I don't know. What? Just put it out there. So, like when you see old pictures of American DOS and in these fights and in the Civil War and all the wars, World War II, we fought in every war. We fought in every war this country's ever had. And when you see that, and when you read about it, what we were fighting for was citizenship. We weren't fighting just to be fighting. We were fighting for citizenship. And understand that there's no policy called one crow. Like, y'all just made that up. Like, Jim Crow was based on a set of policies that were called Jim Crow. It wasn't something that was made up. It was a real set of, like, black codes and anti-black laws. Y'all just making up stuff. Y'all just marketing, and it's garbage. And, like, I don't know why or how we have not been offended. What did somebody just put in here? What did Reggie call it? Reggie from Boston? Blood equity? That's what we have in this country. And we don't want to own it. We want to be, like, friends with everybody. But understand, like, what's going on right now is everybody out here fighting for resources. You can't be friends with everybody. You gotta make sure that your group, your community, our community gets its due. You can't just be running around trying to be friends with everybody. That's not what you can do. Thanks, Michael Metlock. I appreciate it. I don't know what we're gonna do if we can't figure this out. Like, I've been talking about this for like a year and a half, probably 2 years. We gotta figure this out. And you can't let nobody tell you that you don't know enough because you didn't read the leftist, socialist, libertarian doctrine and you just don't know enough. Hush! I know enough to know that our group bought our lineage, gave you your lineage. I know enough to know that. How about that, cowboy? So I'm going to go to break as usual for a few moments. We'll come back. We're gonna have the discussion. I want to hear what you all think about. We can talk about Trump walking out on the meeting, and we can talk about immigration and citizenship and open borders, and let's just have a conversation. As usual, give me 4 to 5 minutes up the phones, and then we'll be back. What's going on, family? What is going on? We getting ready to go to the calls. We're getting ready to have a conversation. As we always do, we have to have a conversation. So, as always, family, let's try to keep it concise, because let's try to remember that we got other family on the line that wants to get through and wants to also have a conversation. Let's not be selfish about this whole thing, and and hit that like button, fam, while we talking. Please hit that like button. It don't cost you nothing to hit the like button. It costs you nothing. I tell you no lie, to hit the like button and hit that bell so you get notifications. That does not cost you a dime. It is free. It is a way to help the show. I am going first to 60. I got two 609s. So I'm going to 60944 first. 60944. I'm coming to you.
Hello, Miss Yvette.
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, this is Mike from Jersey.
What's going on, Mike?
I'm going to try to keep it concise. First of all, thank you for everything that you do, but I'm a little frustrated. Thank you for covering this. Did you see the Griot's page today?
No, I didn't. I didn't see it.
7 hours ago, they posted an article. Trump's speech hits Black America against immigrants. It's all divide and conquer. Trump must have forgot we're not all in the sunken place.
Oh.
So in the article, right? Check this out, because it gets deep. So in the article, I'm gonna get to the article. All right. So it says he'll say there is some evidence that black employment is more sensitive to the immigration influx than white employment, although scholars argue over making direct correlations between increased immigration and black unemployment. Then it goes in 2 paragraphs, skips bullshit, 2 paragraphs of bullshit, excuse my language, but first let me point out too, I'm gonna keep it concise, but in that first, what I just read, you know about hyperlinks. When you hit the hyperlink is supposed to send you to the study.
Yeah.
That study, there's some evidence. That study is the Harvard study that we always talk about. That, and that link takes you to the Harvard study, which is, of course, the National Council of Economic, whatever. But anyway, 2 paragraphs down, here it goes. A study of Census Bureau data suggests American blacks and Latin American immigrants specifically fill complementary roles in the labor market, and immigration can boost wages and overall economy of the neighborhood. So I'm clicking like, wait a minute, a study of the Census Bureau data. Wow, I've never heard of that study. So you click that link, that sends you to the American Immigration Council, a pro-immigration think tank.
Ain't that something?
Yep. So I called them out on it on the Facebook page. I called them out for being disingenuous about that. I told them it was disingenuous. I got the author of the article debating me right now about it. This is how serious the disinformation is going on.
But let me say one other thing, Carla. It shows you what you can do as one person, because these people are just throwing together such garbage that it's easy to, people underestimate. Well, I really can't do nothing. You debating the author right now, because he ain't got no choice but to debate. He's the author, he or she is debating you because they don't have a choice but to debate you.
Right, because at first I called him out for being disingenuous, and I said this is what happens when so-called black media outlets are owned by others. But I forgot this isn't the root, this is the grill. This is owned by Byron Allen.
Yeah!
Can we call Byron Allen and tell him about this?
Ain't it?
This is politics.
But see
what's going on?
Because all around the spectrum, through all of these people, what's happening is everybody from the griot and everybody there has kind of bought into, including him, has bought into this idea of sameness. Everybody's bought into that. So Byron's bought into that. Everybody's bought into that. I did it Trump's just a racist, and you just don't understand, and this is just what it is. Him too. Everybody who is supporting that and allowing that to be put. Now, listen, if you want to put that up against an article from me or somebody, okay, even though it's wrong, but give me a chance to just excoriate this thing. But everybody's bought into this. I don't think we understand that as the Breaking Brown family, we are the only people, and I include everybody in that. We are the only people who get it. We're the only group. I'm talking about in the main. I'm not talking about offshoots. I know there are individuals, but everybody except for us and a few other weird kind of Republicans are nobody gets what we're saying. You still there, Carl?
Oh, I agree. Absolutely. They were asking. I was in the chat room. They were asking where it's at. I'm on the Grill's Facebook page. It was posted 7 hours ago.
Yeah.
And I called the article out so bad. The author of the article is trying to debate me on it.
He ain't got no choice. What he gonna do? He can't leave that alone. He can't leave that alone. See, the thing is, if I posted something from another think tank, which has their actual data, these think tanks have been called by the Southern Poverty Law Center. They have been called hate groups just because of the data that they post. If I post something from there, everybody gonna say, well, Yvette just posting stuff from a hate group. She ought to be ashamed of herself. I don't know why she do nothing like that. But y'all gonna let them post from this, and even people who don't do that have admitted, if your data comes out in opposition to immigration, you're gonna have trouble getting funding. Nobody knows this is what's happening. This is a scam.
It is. It is, because even in the article, she said somewhere, one of the BS paragraphs I was skipping over because I was trying to save time. It was trying to say that, these are jobs we don't want to do. But I found a study saying that that's not true.
But we used to do. How can you say? How can
dangerous jobs are filled by African Americans and poor whites?
But how can you say? How can you say these are not jobs that we don't want to do when we used to do all of these jobs? How can you say that? I do believe Americans want American wages, because American wages are what's required for American life. So if you want a house, apartment, and all the stuff, you want to live and have food and stuff, you have to get American wages. We don't want third world wages. That's true. But we used to do all of those jobs. So you can't say we would never do those jobs. We used to do all of them. But remember, somebody brought up the Richard Pryor movie where Richard Pryor in the movie was headed out to the orange groves to pick oranges with his black friends, or his black co-workers. That was regular. We used to do all of that stuff. Stop lying, and let's stop talking about how many immigrants work white collar jobs now. Let's tell the truth, please.
Yeah, because I don't see them hanging behind no garbage trucks.
Ain't it?
I don't.
Ain't it?
You don't.
I see black men doing that every day. That's who picks up my garbage. Black men's hanging behind a garbage truck.
Right, most dangerous job.
But we won't do it. But we won't do other. But we won't do the job.
The border to do that. Yeah, I don't want to hold you, but I just wanted to thank you for covering this, because right now I'm in a serious debate on Facebook.
Y'all go hold that man up on Facebook. Where's it at? It's on the Griot Facebook. What's the name of the article, fam?
The name of the article is Trump's speech pits Black America against immigrants. It's all divide and conquer. That's the name of the article. But the caption is, Trump must have forgotten we're not all in the sunken place. And they got a picture of Trump and Kanye. So the propaganda is real.
Man, y'all go help that man out debate. Whoever wrote that article, help him out debate whoever this little person. I appreciate you, fam, for calling in. You right. I appreciate you, fam. Y'all go help that man.
No, I appreciate you.
Deal with whoever this little knucklehead is who done wrote this article. And that was a great article. There was another article a while back that I put up from the Washington Post too, that talked about the asterisk was, well, it does disproportionately impact AmericanDOS. I read about 10 articles today from leftists supporting open borders, and none of them made sense. So I'm just telling you what it is. Right now, I'm going to 310. What's going on?
What up, man?
What's going on, Tone Talk?
Yeah, man. This is that talk. This Tone Talk. You know what's funny is last day I talked about it was election night. We kind of went back and forth over Trump and what needs to happen for Black America. Dude, president. You got, everybody got their position, but dude is president. I'm about speaking to the office, because the office is basically changed the whole dynamic of how Black people are going to survive. Everybody can believe what they believe. But, and it was like an hour conversation over, Trump and his policies. But, I look at what the caller's saying, and I'll have a whole little thing I was going to bring up. And I think we forget how many people are immigrants themselves, and it's in their interest to write these little pieces. Mm-hmm. We didn't define blackness correctly, and we dealing with the consequences. You got people that are like Haitian or like Nigerian or Belizean, and what's happening is that they speaking from our one voice, and they not. Because it's in their interest to speak as an immigrant, but they're not making that clear. And I'm not saying that this person is, I haven't checked out who the author is, but a lot of times, like what I ran into with City Lab, we've allowed, I don't think that Breaking Brown's group, I don't think that Black America as a whole has been confrontational enough on an academic level with these people speaking out of turn. And that's okay, you don't have to be, but there's a consequence coming. And I'll explain it in a second. Can you bring up that first Huffington Post piece that I sent you the image? If you pull it up in the email. So I've shown you guys this before. Election day, Trump is elected. Ironically, I end up in Tijuana, the exact same border where the Hondurans were at, crossing over. And I'll tell you this about Black LA. Most Black people never go to Mexico. So like in LA, so like I'm very unique in this experience. I'm not saying I'm at all an expert, but I definitely have a much higher level of understanding of like this whole process of duality of citizenship than probably almost everybody listening right now, and then also most people that speak on this that like, I don't know Eddie Glaude's history, but I'm saying somebody like that, you mess around, he don't even know about like what he's really speaking to. Or Michelle maybe don't know, because it's like, have you done dental work in Mexico ever? No, I've never done that. What are you talking about, dude? So like, what you find is, what y'all don't understand is the problem. First of all, the problem with open borders is what Yvette said. We built this country. Our bodies were worth more than everything combined. In addition, our labor was the most valuable asset the country had. And so now we're supposed to all be the same. But we're competing against people who have citizenship that's built on lineage from developing countries on top of that. So their developing countries don't want us to be part of their country, but then we got an open standard where we're just like all the same here. So then what happens is, they got people who work in, like on the Tijuana border, they got people who work at the Foot Locker in U.S. during the day. And then they live in Mexico at night. That literally have that. That's not uncommon.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing is like this whole thing, it doesn't take into account that if you are gonna play this game, then everybody here, you gotta stay here and spend the money here. That's the only way it kind of works for us, and it still don't work. And so like you have this whole dynamic of black men in America competing on a dating level, black women competing on an educational and a professional level with people that are lying to you about what they're doing. So what do I mean? So, and I've talked to Yvette about this. So if you date a Nigerian girl and a Nigerian guy dates a Nigerian girl, you're supposed to provide all the stuff he has? Well, he's using money that's coming from Nigeria. And we're going to get into that in a second. How? How are you supposed to, why are you competing against it? What advantage are you supposed to have as a person versus him? Because they done took away your citizenship, y'all the same. Because his family came over as a nurse and then they had him here. Y'all the same. But he still gets to keep his duality. And they get to keep you out of Nigeria. We just read the requirements to become a Nigerian citizen, so you don't get to be that. And you okay with that? I'm just saying, let's get specific, because like I said, I was on the border on election day. I don't know if you know anybody else who really was on the border. And I'm telling you right now that you can buy a house in Tijuana for $30,000 cash. You can buy your apartment, be done with it at $5,000. This is coming from actually talking to people in Tijuana that live there. I'm telling you that what Yvette said about working, like work visas, that's the way it used to be. Like my taxi driver specifically told me that's the way his daddy had to do it. He worked for 6 months, come back, he check in, then if they need him back, then they give him another set of months. Mm-hmm. No, not permanent. Why would they do that? They didn't used to do that. So I come to the other point that I wanted to make. I don't want to hold too long. I told Yvette about this earlier. Pull up the slavery, the slavery grandfather thing. Because I don't. Let's get to it. This is the most powerful article of 18 for us. It's the most powerful article of 2018. Because what it sets up is a great conundrum of blackness. Because what you have right now, particularly with West Africans, is they're getting reverse reparations. So what do you see? Like the concept of reverse reparations is what effectively they're getting through scholarships, through USAID. What they're getting is, so you can be competing against USAID that U.S. decided to give a West African country because their family is high up on the art, and they're telling you don't deserve reparations. Come on.
Yep.
So they could go to Howard. The reason why Howard can charge more is because they're using USAID dollars to pay Howard, but then you ain't supposed to get reparations. But all while they sold you into slavery. And they ain't got to tell you why, if they did. So the whole thing is, well, you haven't proven that I sold you into slavery. It's not my job to prove. This was never set up right. This article blows up everything about blackness and Pan-Africanism. And understand, this is the New Yorker. So this isn't a blog. This isn't a right-wing paper. This isn't a New York Times op-ed. This is the New Yorker. See, when you write an opinion piece, that little stuff we be seeing on even New York Times, it ain't like this. This is an article in the New Yorker. And I believe it went to print too.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I guess for me, what I'm seeing is they get reverse reparations, and we being told that reparations is impossible. And then we also told that our citizenship should be the same as everybody else. I don't understand how y'all gonna live. And I'm telling you right now, the last thing I'm gonna tell you is bring up the blue bar chart, because we gotta understand the blue bar chart. We gotta bring this chart up to get the frame. You gonna pull it up, the one with the deciles, Yvette?
Oh, I don't have that one on me.
That's how I leave.
I don't have that one on. I don't have that one up.
Eric, you got it right here. This one.
This one, the one you want? Okay.
This one right here. So look, I'm gonna tell y'all just so y'all clear. Understand what this chart is saying to you. It's saying to you that you don't have enough to be here. I'm gonna explain it one last time in another way. Black America has 2.6% of the wealth. That's it, and shrinking. But 90% of that is in the top blue bar. So cut them out. That's all old boomers that don't want to share nothing with nobody. I'm just gonna say it straight. When I say don't share nothing with nobody, yeah, they let you come eat Thanksgiving. But as far as like they trying to get out of the house so you can live there, it's really a hard strain. Everybody wanna continue having the ownership of the house or the car and everything else. So they got everything right here, this blue bar, because of timing and access. 90% of Black Americans living on less than 0.65 of America's wealth. 90% of Black America is living on 0.65 of America's wealth. They about to leave y'all with this slavery. Your kids, y'all gonna have frustrated relationships because you don't have enough. Then they gonna take your citizenship and spread it so thin it don't matter. So I'm just telling you, this is where we're at. This is the policies in place. This is what's going on. Because you're going to have to deal with the consequences. I'll leave it at that.
Appreciate it, Antonio, as always. Yeah, we're going to have to deal with a lot of consequences. But everybody like, what we're dealing with too in our community is everybody like to talk. But don't nobody want to really mess around with consequences. Well, you know, we all the same. I don't know what's going on with my thing. I don't know, like, what you talking about. I don't know, we all what we is, and we is what we ain't. And what does that mean? Like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Well, what do you mean, Yvette? Well, I know who I am, and I know what I mean. I don't know what you mean. So, I mean, it's wild. It's just real wild to me. I'm trying to bring up something real quick just so everybody can have it. That's what I like to do. Because I want everybody to be able to kind of like go to this and, I don't know. It's just wild. I mean, Antonio was right though. So I'm going to go to my next caller. I'm going right now to 609. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello, Yvette. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. What's going on with you?
Good. Oh, hey, I'm good. Every time I hear you, I'm good.
Appreciate it, fam.
Because you bring it out live. But before I start, I just want to let Antonio know, and whoever else is, some of us boomers are okay. So stop harping on us all the time. Because we understand the plight of folks that's going on. But anyway, what I wanted to say is this. You know how you speak about the Republicans and the Democrats, the red team and the blue team. They all the same team, the white team. Now this red team just comes out and let everybody know where their politics are. Point blank. They just don't care.
Yeah.
But the blue team does the same exact thing. But they tried to hide behind some stuff and convince us that they're doing us a favor. So, like you were saying, every generation we had this new slave or Jim Crow situation. What's happening now is the new Jim Crow slaves situation is to make us slaves of Jim Crow in competition to immigrants. And by doing that and by going global and redistributing wealth that way, it keeps us from getting what's rightfully ours. So I just want to hear what your comment is on that.
No, I think that's true. I think people don't understand that. Like when I say groups are being brought in to be our replacement, that's what it means. We're going to keep these Negroes as the bottom, but we're going to make ourselves look diverse by bringing in other brown people. So these descendants of slaves who they be radical and they be fighting for stuff, we're not going to put them up there. We're going to put people up there who look like them, but who don't care about them really. We're going to put them up there, and we're going to still keep this bottom cast of American DOS at the bottom. So no matter who we bring in, we can look like we diverse. We look like we real diverse because they brown. They brown. Aren't we excited? It's brown people. But it's not the people that built this country. And people aren't smart enough to know the difference. So let's just do what we do. I agree with you. That's what it is. It's just the truth.
I agree. And the thing that really bothers me is that they try to put all these people on TV, and just because they have the color, but when you get to their names, they have all these foreign names. I like, that ain't one of me.
But you know what the problem is, caller? But you know what the problem is, caller? The problem is that we don't know the difference. The problem is if you walk into most American DOS people and you say, what's different between that black man, that black woman and me? They'll be like, nothing. We all the same. You know, we get oppressed around the world. We all the same. The problem is we don't know the difference. We can't expect, like, we need to understand what the differences are. We don't even look into, like, what happens in, what goes on in Eritrea? What goes on in Ethiopia? What is the difference? What are the influences in the Sudan? What are the influences in Nigeria? What when you talking about you Egyptian? Talk to me about Egypt. We don't even know the differences. We just accept like whatever narrative is presented to us. And that's a real problem.
Yeah, you're right. And see, and that's what makes it even worse for us, because we don't know the problem, and they doing all this okey-doke stuff to us at the same time.
Yeah, I agree, caller. I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your night, fam.
Taking the call.
All right, no problem. Yeah, like we gotta, we have to, we are the barometer. Like, that's what we are. That's who we are. We can't keep just accepting anything that flows our way. That's not how this works. Like, we got to be like, you know, if you go to these other countries, if you go to Jamaica right now, I think Jamaicans will tell you, yeah, you cool people. We enjoy your company. But you're not Jamaican, man. Like, I think they'll tell you, like, no. You know, I told you I went to Liberia one time. They called me gringo. They didn't see me as like, well, like you're like, no, you gringo. And I'm fine with that, because I'm not you. I'm not in this country where they sell like used shoes at the price of new shoes. What y'all doing? They got new shoes. They got these Lebanese over here selling old used American like Pumas for the price of real. Is that what y'all doing? Is that how y'all getting taken advantage of over here? So yeah, I'm not that. So I totally understand that you're exactly right. I'm not that. I'm not you. And you get to have access to all this stuff, all this weird stuff that's going on over here. We are not the same. I understand that when I go places, how do the rest of us not get to, like, yeah, that's the truth. We're not these people. When they left, they developed a totally different culture. They're totally different people. It's a whole other thing. We're not nobody else but us. And understand that, like, I'm not telling you. People love to say, well, Yvette, you telling us to give up. You're preaching defeatism. I'm not preaching defeatism at all. I'm telling you to work harder than you've been working. I'm telling you to read more than you've been reading. I'm telling you to follow your people, your representatives on Twitter, at least so you know what they're doing, and start responding to them there and get accustomed to responding to them there, just like the person did. This is the Grio article that's being talked about, right? I'm telling you to do more than what you've been doing. I'm not telling you to give up. I'm telling you to engage in a space that we have become accustomed to not being engaged in, because we believing that, well, black capitalism gonna come and save us. It ain't saved you. It ain't gonna save you. You have to get involved in this space. If anything, I'm telling you to work harder than you've ever worked, because that's what has to happen. I'm putting more work on your back, and I understand that. But anybody who tells you, well, you just sound like you want us to lay down and die, doesn't understand anything. That person's an idiot. And you can debate them for 10 seconds, but after that, you're going to have to walk away. Because that person will drive you back crazy. Because they crazy. They don't understand nuance. They walk away. Know when to walk away. If you don't know anything about the Breaking Brown family, you got to know when to walk away from these people. So I'm going right now to 720. 720, I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? You there, 720?
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, what's going on? I can hear you. What's going on?
All right, I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain.
Okay, well, this is something I think everybody needs to understand. Us as DOS people are in a class all by themselves because we got pimped out by the Africans that brought us over here, and we get over here, we've been enslaved from slavery to Jim Crow. Now we're in the age of John Doe. You know, John Doe is everybody want to play dumb like they don't know what happened and we not owed anything. I was having a conversation with a guy earlier today, and he was talking about, well, this ain't my country, so I don't care about this and that. And he was making a plight for the wall, how they shouldn't build it. And I said, no, you need that wall. You gotta shut that down. You just can't have any and everybody coming up in here. Now, I've worked in security, and I've worked all over. I was up at the mall, at the theater that night when that fool went in there and shot up all those people. I was working there that night, and I worked with the FBI. I worked with a lot of people because, matter of fact, I was carding them. After the aftermath of all of that, I was checking them and checking their IDs and stuff before I let them in. So I see a lot of stuff that everybody in this room, in this chat room, listening to this show need to understand one thing: that them people from Africa and wherever they come from do not give a damn about us. They about themselves. They will smile in your face and some say, "Oh yeah, brother, you cool, you this and that," but in the end, they trying to use you. I worked for one company where the secretary she said, it was an African guy, and she said, you should hear how he talk about black people. He call y'all niggers and say y'all dumb and this and that. And a lot of us are walking around here dumb, stuck on dumb, and glued to stupid because they just don't understand what's going on about. We are owed reparations, and I think we're owed reparations not just from this country, but from Africa too.
Me too.
Whoever had hand in slave trading need to pay up. To pay what's due because no one's going to work for free. No one's going to work for free. And what I've seen in my line of work, working all around the city, all over the country, working with different police departments and stuff like that, seeing what I've seen. They doing a lot of criminal activity. They doing a lot of scamming. And what you said about we have to call people out and we can't allow people in our community to be doing trifling stuff. Like with that Zaza Ali thing, she's scamming the women out that money, Watkins, it's a complete fraud. And we have to call people out, and people have to be woke up about what our plight really is, because people like that are not helping our plight.
No.
They're not helping us at all. They're doing damage. They're hurting us because I always try to stay on the positive because you can't get nobody to see. Like if I'm coming up on a situation and I see two people screaming and hollering at but it's hard for me to ascertain who started. All I see is two irate people. But if I see one person who's calm, speaking correctly, and they're calm and being polite and respectful, and I see one person acting crazy, then it's easy to point out who the negative person is or, who's behaving negative. But it's hard for somebody to see something and you're trying to throw hate out there and say, oh, well, I hate people because of this and I hate people because of that, and you can't get nobody to work with if you're using the same medicine they're using. But you do have to stand firm. You have a lot of people on YouTube that are trying to be video activists. I'm sorry, you can't be no video activist. You have to get the boots out there on the ground and put some work in.
But see, let me tell you, I have had conversations with people like, Yvette, why aren't you on the ground more? And I do work with the Angela Project, and I'm there all the time. I do work with another PFER, which is about immigration. I do work on that. But let me tell you something, fam. Part of the problem that you come in contact with when you do work on the ground is that people want to fight you. And your own people. And I mean physically fight you. I don't mean fight you just in terms of like, I want to disagree with you. I mean punch you in your chest, fight you.
Yeah.
You understand?
Right. I understand that. And,
okay.
And I totally understand where you're coming from, because I've been on the ground, and it's crazy the hate that you face. That because you said, but you know what? Something I want to show. First of all, I want to thank you. I'm sorry I should have done that from the beginning, but I want to thank you because I like your show. It's very positive where we can and talk, and you can talk with intelligent people, because I just can't stand sitting up talking with idiots. And this is a very positive show, and I want to show throw a shout out to Otis, because Otis said something that, man, when he said it, I was like, wow. I said, he's right. And Alexander, Mr. Hamilton, I think it's Mr. Hamilton, about the polygamy thing. He said we got the polygamy relationships going on, and that we got to cut that out. That was very profound as well. So I want to send a shout out to those two people.
Alexander Otis be putting in work.
Oh yeah, they're on it, and I just want to say that we need a complete overhaul of our government, because we have a two-party monopoly, and they pretty much are the same party. They just playing the game with each other, and we're just caught up in the middle of it. And like you said, we're in the age of John Doe. We went from Jim Crow to John Doe, where don't nobody know, well, who are you, or what are you talking about? No, it's time to break bread. They got to break bread with us, because we are owed what we're owed. I mean, no one is going to work.
No, you're right. No, you're right, fam. You're right, family. I'm gonna have to wrap it up. But you exactly right now, and I appreciate the call. I appreciate what he's saying. Like, I think a lot of us would love to be on the ground more. Like I said, I do stuff on the ground with organizations, but I have to be careful. Like, we have to have security or something, because people will act up. And I have been in situations, I've been in at least 2 situations where somebody wanted to inflict physical violence against me over something that I said on YouTube. 2 situations I have been in where one was Pan-Africanism, and the other one was something I said about Jay-Z, where somebody wanted. 2 situations. I think we talk about all the time about being out there, but what happens when some of us go out there is that we out there and we unprotected out there, and people are crazy, and they want to fight over people they don't know, and ideologies that they shouldn't even believe in. Y'all got me out here taking self-defense classes. I gotta do what I gotta do because people crazy. Anyway, I'm going to the next call. I'm calling 973. What's on your mind? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, Yvette? This call out of New Jersey. Real fast, just as I'm sitting here, I'm just going through Twitter, and you got a representative, Eric Swalwell out of California. He tweets, and also my reply, you want to fix immigration with Donald Trump, don't go to the border, go across it. Go see the violent conditions families are fleeing in Central America. My reply, sir, they're American citizens living in violent conditions. Fix that first. It's just amazing. And I don't know what kind of game they're trying to play. Again, like, I'm no supporter of Donald Trump.
But I'm not about to sit here and also let the Democrats scapegoat Donald Trump as if this stalemate is solely on him. Both groups are fighting for what they believe in. You know, one Donald Trump, he's hell bent on getting this border, and he's hell bent on appeasing his base. He said he was going to bring the wall. That's what he's trying to do. The Democrats are hell bent on supporting immigration. Now, if we had, and this is why I know reparations can be achieved, because if we had that kind of advocacy, we would have reparations.
Exactly.
So now is, how do we get the Congressional Black Caucus? I don't want to keep harping on Obama. Obama is gone. But how can we get the Congressional Black Caucus to basically go that hard in the paint, metaphor, for us? Like, those two parties are going for immigrant and also going for the wall. You know, that's more or less like where we at right now. And, you know, so when I do see Donald Trump making that stance, and we got to be careful. Even if he doesn't get the wall, this position and this position that he's taking on that wall will get him another 4 years. Because he's basically sending out dog whistles, or he's basically advocating for his base. So we gotta, we gotta be real careful.
Well, you know what I say first, caller? You know what I say first, caller? We got to focus first and foremost on the CBC members who are in what I call the 50-plus district, right? Where your district is at least half AmericanDOS, right? Like, you have no excuse. What has happened with some of these, though, districts is that they've had an influx of immigration. So now they have so many immigrants in their districts that they're constrained because of that. Now, I don't give you a pass. I'm just saying my first and foremost focus is those districts with 50 plus. If your district is 50% black or more, like you are the priority in terms of what I need to focus on and what you are doing and what you are not doing. Right? That's just where I'm at. I'm gonna let you finish though. I'm sorry.
I mean, but again, I mean, even when you look at Harlem and Charles Rangel, I mean, if he would have spent his time and his tenure in Congress strengthening black DOS,
yeah,
you understand what I'm saying?
What you saying? It never would have got there. What you saying? If he had strengthened AmericanDOS, he never would have had, like, didn't he have a Latino opposition candidate one year? What you saying is that if he had strengthened his own community, he might not have got there. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I'm just trying to figure out, what's the agenda here, and I see the agenda, and I think you hit it when you said, Nancy Pelosi, she runs the tight ship, and she got them Negroes in line.
Yes, she do. She got them on check.
And that's what I've seen from today. And and I try to tell people, I'm like, let me tell you something. The government gets things done, because I mean, when they're in agreements on something, because I don't see them in opposition when it comes to military spending and war. So these are people who know how to get things done, but we just got to kind of figure out how to kind of like move the consciousness of black people. And it's not. And what I want to say to the Breaking Brown family, we got to understand. What we're doing today when we have these conversations and we challenge these people on Twitter, we're looking for immediate gratification. It doesn't happen like that. What we're doing right now is just basically planting the seeds and putting the ideas. And once we get the ideas going, and then people will catch up. Yeah. Because years ago, people wasn't saying the word white supremacy. You understand what I'm saying? You have people with the gentleman Millie Fuller. He was saying that since the 1970s, and it didn't catch on to the 2000s. So we got to be in this for the long haul. Yeah, so don't get discouraged. These conversations is not to get us down. We are basically trying to move a consciousness in the right direction so we can get to where we need to be.
Thanks, fam.
All right,
I appreciate that. That was a great call. I think you're right. Like, you have to understand that, like, what you have to kind of stand on is the fact that, like, we know we're right. Like, this isn't a thing of, like, where we think you, thank you, Jabugi, I appreciate it. This is not a thing where we think we're right, or we might be right, or maybe because, like, no, we standing up as the backbone of this thing. Like, I don't care what nobody say, I don't care how you worship or who you worship. When the Breaking Brown family, if there's a heaven, when we get there, all them people from Malcolm X to Martin Luther King to Ella Baker, all them people gonna be like, y'all did good. Like, they're not gonna say we make mistakes. We human people. But like, what you have to be doing is like, we in the right stead. Like, MLK made his own mistakes. I think he made mistakes with Vietnam and all that stuff. These people done did this for you. You got to stay on your route. People say, well, they were going to use that. That Vietnam money was too much money. No, you got to stay on your path. You got to know what your path and your mission is and stay on that specific mission. But what I'm saying is that, and I know people going to disagree with me, and that's fine. I'm here to disagree. But what I'm saying is that you have to know that, like, you are doing this for a group. You're not just doing this for yourself. You're not just doing this for yourself or whatever. You're doing this for the people that come after you. And there are people who are not going to understand where you are and what you're advocating. That don't mean you get off your path. You know what your path is. You know what our path is. You know what we're doing here. And you know we're right. And you know people just haven't caught up. They gonna catch up eventually, and I don't know whether eventually is next week or 20 years from now or 100 years from now, but they gonna catch up, and we do what we do. We are the building blocks. We are the strength of this thing that is the American DOS community, whether other people know it or not. I don't care what nobody know. The Breaking Brown family is the bones and muscle of what y'all doing, whether y'all know it or not. You the weak link, you the fat. Other people is the fat. We not the fat. We are the muscle in the bone. Let's keep moving in the direction that we know we got to move in. I appreciate that caller for saying that. I'm going to 254. 254, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yeah, my name is James, calling from Texas.
What's going on, James?
Nothing much. I just wanted to speak on two things. I'm a DOS that's, I'm like totally, like, and I'm not a bad person, but I feel like I'm totally against the immigration thing. Like, I am not for it at all. Just looking at the caravan, I can be honest, I did not feel sympathy for those guys because I know what the DOS community is going through in America alone, as you know, just as a whole anyway. So, and then they almost made me just a little bit envious at the same time because I know once they get over here, I give them 3 to 5 years max, and they'll be surpassing the average DOS. And so, you know, just a situation like that, I mean, I just, you know, it makes me against it. And then it seems like once they get over here, you know, they're a threat to us. They're not for us. They become a threat to us, and they, you know, they're just against everything that we pretty much stand for, and they don't respect none of what all blood has been shed in America by DOS. I don't feel like they respect it. They look at it more as if it's not their problem. And so, I mean, you know, and then you have a lot of us blacks, you know, a lot of us, you know, they're trying to root for them. You know, they'll almost want to rip your neck off when you're talking about them and talking about how immigration is bad for us. Yeah. You know, they always find a way to want to take up for the Mexican just because maybe one Mexican may have been nice to them. Next thing you know, I love Mexicans, forget the wall. You know, and so, I mean, I just, you know, that's just my issue with it, and, you know, I'm totally against it.
I hear you, Carl. I appreciate you calling in, but yeah, like, you can't. I think we get policy mixed up. Like, policy isn't about like who was nice to you, and you could, like, we all know people. Like, we all know good immigrants. Some of the best information I have on this show comes from like ally immigrants who will be like, Yvette, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm gonna tell you what really goes down. Like, that's what, like, we all know that. We're talking about policies that are best for us. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about, well, I noticed Mr. Garcia is a very nice man, and I'm sure he is. That's not the issue, though. We're talking about policies and their impact on groups. Policy and individual conversations are not the same. All right, see, I can't deal with y'all. Y'all call in anonymously, and I can't deal with it. 202, what's going on, 202?
Hey, why you always answering this calls, man?
I don't do it. I don't know who you are when you do it.
Calls, man. You gotta take some.
I'm opposed to it.
Hey, man, we're gonna get, they gonna ban you from the internet, man.
Don't say that, Alexander. No, you better I rebuke you, Alexander.
Hey, man, I bet these lines getting drawn, y'all. These lines are getting drawn. Hey, so I want to just read y'all a little something. I ain't going to keep you too long. I've become somewhat enamored in recent moments, about our founding father, George Washington. Now, of course, he was a slave owner.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know there was a threat on his life that almost, it almost stopped the American Revolution. It almost brought it to its halt. And the people who tried to kill him in the assassination plot, they were members of his inner guard. I think they were called the blue coats or the white coats. They tried to, and so he was able to discover, just follow me, y'all, just follow me.
I'm following.
He was able to discover and uncover the plot at the last minute. Had he been a day late in uncovering the plot, he would have been assassinated, and the revolution just very well may not have happened. But check it out, Yvette, when he did his little investigation of the individuals that attempted to assassinate him, he discovered, Yvette, that they were immigrants.
No, what happened?
Hold on, watch it, baby. Let's walk. We about to run all up in this. Check out what he said, Yvette. Check out what he said. So, the name of the group was called the Guard, the Vaunted Guard. These were the people who were in charge with protecting then General Washington everywhere he went, because Yvette, at that time, the greatest number of loyalists to the British Crown were in the state of New York, and it is believed that King George III commissioned the governor of New York and the mayor of New York to hatch a plot to assassinate Washington. Who better else to recruit to the plot than people who did not have loyalty to America but had loyalty to Great Britain? And so, when he found about Yvette, check out what he said as he explained, how he was going to deal with this situation. He said, I am satisfied that there can be no absolute security for the fidelity of our people, but yet I think it most likely to be found in those who have connections in the country. Yvette, he said fidelity was demonstrated by those who had connections to the country. And so George Washington understood, now he was an isolationist, he understood that when he was leaving office, he gave 2 words of wisdom. Of course, now we know he couldn't be all that wise. He had slaves before white men at the time. I'm just going to just follow me. He said that beware of political parties, for they'll be the end of the nation. And he said beware of meddling in the affairs of foreign nations, for they will also be the end of America. And he was also, as a consequence of what happened with him in terms of the assassination plot on his life, he became anti-immigration. And he believed that in order for us to demonstrate fidelity to the revolution and to the cause, we had to have it led by people who had skin of the game, people who were actually had ties to the country. Now fast forward. Yvette, I mentioned a few weeks ago that the immigrant is the most unpatriotic individual in this country because they left their country. They left. In America, we stayed, we fought, no matter how bad it got, we stayed and we fought, and we did not leave. We had very good reason to leave. We had very good reason to go somewhere else, but we stayed and we fought. But what we don't have today is an understanding by our black elected leadership of what the brother said a minute ago. What he said,
blood equity.
What you said? Blood equity.
I said that Reggie from Boston gets credit from that. He said blood equity. I was like, oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's real talk. They don't have blood equity. And so you look at the amazing thing is that the amazing thing in all this, I find that the same black Americans or DOS or Congressional Black Caucus people who are, or the people who argue against this are people who are actually for funding the wall we are building for border security in Israel. It's like there was an article that came out today that really praised President Trump. And this is very interesting. Really praised President Trump for his border security policy in Israel. And it even came out. Nobody actually said that. John Bolton says the United States will assure Israel's border security. It will assure Israel's border security before a Syria pullout. Now, let me ask you this. Why is it that none of us, not many people on that sphere who are arguing against the wall in America are arguing against the wall in Israel? No outrage is given. No outrage is given whatsoever against a border wall being built in Israel to keep out the Palestinians. But the same people will argue against our own border security here. Meanwhile, watch this. Meanwhile, two of our illustrious black women, regardless of whether you agree with them on anything, they are being boycotted and run out of the public square for their arguments against the wall in Israel. Who are they? Angela Davis and Alice Walker. Alice Walker is now being branded by anti-Semite by Jewish groups, and you got Angela Davis. They just rescinded the Fred Shuttlesworth Civil Rights Award.
I saw that.
They rescinded it, and they rescinded it because she has been talking against the border wall in Palestine, in Israel. Now think about this. So we have a group of people that have managed to get a foothold in this country that can come here and tell us who our heroes should be in the civil rights movement, and all while doing that, they can disparage a true civil rights activist. And on the other end, these same group of people will tell us that it's okay to fight for a wall in their Israel, but it's wrong for us to want a wall from here to keep people out who are coming here to take our jobs and things of that nature. And so I look at this and I'm like, well, I said before, we have representatives, but we don't have representation. Who understands it? Who in the Congressional Black Caucus is talking about this?
Nobody.
Who? Nobody's talking. We got Kamala Harris ramping up the run for president of the United States, and she's right on board with the pro-immigration stuff. And so I would argue that we don't have people in the public square that are not only American first, but are DOS first. Because to be DOS first is to be the ultimate patriotism and the ultimate pro-American first, because we are the greatest Americans. And I'll stand on that.
Oh!
We are the greatest Americans. Nobody has demonstrated their loyalty to this country more than us. Nobody. Not even the founding fathers were better at being American than us. We are the demonstration of the ideals of their Constitution. They wrote a Constitution with us in mind and didn't even understand that we would be the ones that will fulfill the constitutional mandate with our loyalty. Our loyalty is what makes the Constitution real. Our loyalty is what makes the Declaration of Independence true and correct. And as a consequence, we have earned our citizenship. We have earned our citizenship more than any white American, than any Asian American, than any Hispanic American. Anybody who wishing to come there, they cannot out America us. They can't. It's impossible. We got 500 years in the game, man. We got 500 years in this. 500 years of remaining fidelis to a serial abuser.
Ooh.
A serial abuser. R. Kelly ain't got nothing on what America did to us. He got nothing on what America did to us. And we stayed here. And we stay here. And hold up, where is the mute America on behalf of us? No, it ain't, because we are the original Americans. I will even take it a step farther. There is nobody on earth that has demonstrated an allegiance and loyalty to their country more than descendants of slaves have done in America, and I will stand on that.
I will too. I'll stand with you.
Show me another people. Show me another people throughout the history. Show me another people. You can't. You can't. We are the ultimate definition and symbolism of patriotism. Of patriotism. Look it up in the dictionary. It should say descendants of slaves, because we have demonstrated that commitment, that blood equity, Yvette, that blood equity. And as I said before, I'll be damned if I let anybody come over here and cut the line. And cut the line. They got to get in line, baby. You got to get in line. And let me leave you on this. Where is Congressional Black Caucus right now? Where is the executive director of the White House Initiative on HBCUs? If I was in that position right now, I'd say, Mr. President, I will get black people on board. I will get our black colleges talking about this. Okay, you want $5 billion for the wall? I want $1 billion for HBCUs. I want $1 billion for HBCUs. I will even go as far as to giving you homeland security centers on every HBCU campus. And you can even train our engineers at HBCUs to go and build that damn wall. This is the quid pro quo. This is how you play politics and how you find mutual interest in the powers that be. This is the issue that black people, descendants of slaves, should be unified. This is an issue where we can find common interest with the president. Common interest with a tangible benefit. But the problem is we have representatives, but we don't have representation. And as a consequence, we in the Breaking Brown family are sitting outside bamming on the door. We got to keep bamming, Yvette. We got to be bamming till we knock that motherfucker down.
Yeah, we're going to knock it down. We're going to knock it down. We're going to knock it down.
Until they understand what our patriotism have meant to this country, they will continue being treasonous. They will continue being treasonous to our endeavor. And I think that until we understand that, then we're going to be left. We're going to be left playing second fiddle to immigrants who have no blood equity in the country that we have remained loyal to since our enslavement.
Woohoo!
Is that enough?
Alexander, you know, to preach today. Everybody send an offering to wherever Alexander is. Send an offering. Lord have mercy, he done preach today. I don't know. I appreciate you, Alexander, as always. Good God Almighty. Y'all asked for Alexander to show up on the call, and he did. It was a blessing. What a blessing. That was a blessing. And I listen. I'm gonna have to end the show on that. I'm sorry, people in the queue. I gotta end the show on that. That's what it was. You don't want to follow up on that, do you? And I think what I want to see when people talk about immigration, and I'm just gonna leave on this. I want to see seriousness. There is no seriousness in what I'm seeing from the left. The only thing that you are telling me. The only thing that you are telling me is that we can't have borders. No, we have to have borders. Tell me what the immigration level is going to be. Tell me what that's going to be based on. Tell me how we're going to do it. Because I am not anti-immigrant. I believe in legal as opposed to illegal immigration. Let me say it again. I believe in legal as opposed to illegal immigration. But we have to decide how to do that in the context of what is good for AmericanDOS. What I mean is that we haven't gotten our citizenship. We don't have jobs. We have not gotten opportunity. We are a bottom caste. So I need my people to have jobs and be trained for jobs and be able to take jobs. And then after we've done all the training for us and met our needs, then we can talk about, okay, there's still a gap. we've trained all these American people, American DOS, we done trained white people, and we still got a gap. Then we can talk about, okay, who do we bring in to fill that gap, and how do we train them? There's nothing anti-immigrant about that. And what I see coming from the left is a lot of unseriousness. Now, I'm not saying that racism don't come from the right. I'm not saying that. That would be a lie. I would never say that. I see it all the time. But what I'm telling you is that people got to get serious about this issue and work in a way that benefits us. So thank you, fam. Thank you, everybody who called in. Thank you, Alexander. Please hit the like button before you go. Please hit that bell if you have not, so that you get notifications. Please go to subscribetobrown.com. And for those of you who I mentioned earlier in the show, American Slavery, American Freedom, Edmund S. Morgan, we're going to read that on March 21st. That is our book club book. So please get yourself access to that book at the library, or friend, or Breaking Brown person who might copy, whatever. Just get yourself access to that book. We're going to read it on March the 21st, which is a Thursday. We'll be reading it at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the same time as the show. Please get all of that together, family, and we'll have the conversation. Until then, family, until next time, Breaking Brown family, take care of yourselves, finish your libations, stay healthy, and stay in the fight. We are doing the Lord's work, whether you know it or not. If you're a Buddhist, you're doing Buddhist work. Whoever you listen, we are doing the right thing. If you're an atheist, just know you're doing the right thing on the moral side of the ground, on the moral side of what we're doing. Just know that. And we'll talk again next time, fam. Be easy. Don't let nobody stress you out. Don't you let these people stress you out.
Thank you.